Serengeti National Park. The Serengeti National Park in Tanzania was established in 1952. It is home to the greatest wildlife spectacle on Earth, the Great Migration of Wildebeest and Zebra. The resident population of lion, cheetah, elephant, giraffe, and birds is also impressive. There's a wide variety of accommodation available, from luxury lodges to mobile camps. The park covers 5,700 square miles, 14,763 square kilometers. It's larger than Connecticut, with at most a couple hundred vehicles driving around. The park can be divided into 3 sections. The popular southern, central part, Serengeti Valley, is what the Maasai called the Serengeti, the land of endless plains. It's classic savanna, dotted with acacias and filled with wildlife. The western corridor is marked by the Grimiti River, and has more forests and dense bush. The North Lobo area meets up with Kenya's Masai Mara Reserve, is the least visited section. 2 World Heritage Sites and 2 Biosphere Reserves have been established within the 30,000 square kilometers region. Its unique ecosystem has inspired writers from Ernest Hemingway to Peter Matthiessen, filmmakers like Hugo von Leuk and Alan Root, as well as numerous photographers and scientists, many of which have put their works at our disposal to create this website. The Serengeti ecosystem is one of the oldest on Earth. The essential features of climate, vegetation and fauna have barely changed in the past million years. Early man himself made an appearance in Olduvai Gorge about 2 million years ago. Some patterns of life, death, adaptation and migration are as old as the hills themselves. It is the migration for which Serengeti is perhaps most famous. Over 1 million wildebeest and about 200,000 zebras flow south from the northern hills to the southern plains for the short rains every October and November, and then swirl west and north after the long rains in April, May and June. So strong is the ancient instinct to move that no drought, gorge or crocodile-infested river can hold them back. The wildebeest travel through a variety of parks, reserves and protected areas and through a variety of habitat. Join us to explore the different forms of vegetation and landscapes of the Serengeti ecosystem and meet some of their most fascinating inhabitants. The Serengeti Plains harbor the largest remaining unaltered animal migration in the world, where over 1 million wildebeest plus hundreds of thousands of other ungulates engage in a 1,000 kilometers long annual circular trek spanning the 2 adjacent countries of Kenya and Tanzania. This spectacular phenomenon takes place in a unique scenic setting of endless plains, 25,000 square kilometers of treeless expanses of spectacularly flat short grasslands dotted with rocky outcrops, copses, interspersed with rivers and woodlands. The park also hosts one of the largest and most diverse large predator-prey interactions worldwide, providing a particularly impressive aesthetic experience. In the vast plains of Serengeti National Park, comprising 1.5 million hectares of savanna, the annual migration of 2 million wildebeests plus hundreds of thousands of gazelles and zebras, followed by their predators in their annual migration in search of pasture and water, is one of the most impressive nature spectacles in the world. The biological diversity of the park is very high, with at least 4 globally threatened or endangered animal species: black rhinoceros, elephant, wild dog, and cheetah. Serengeti National Park is at the heart of the larger Serengeti ecosystem, which is defined by the area covered by the annual migration. The property is contiguous with Ngorongoro Conservation Unit, an area of 528,000 hectares declared a World Heritage Site in 1979. The entire ecosystem also includes the Maswa Game Reserve, 2,200 square kilometers, in the south, Grimiti and Ikarongo Game Reserves in the east, Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya, 1,672 square kilometers, to the north, and Lilindo Game Controlled Area in the west. This entire ecosystem is intact and no barriers hamper the migration. Serengeti National Park is sufficiently large and intact to ensure the survival and vigor of all the species contained therein, if maintained in its present state, but does not, by itself, ensure the protection of the entire ecosystem. However, all other parts of the ecosystem do have a greater or lesser degree of protection. A potential threat is the plan to build a transport infrastructure through the Serengeti. This would essentially cut the ecosystem into two halves, with predictably negative consequences on the Serengeti. Adding Maswa Game Reserve and Masai Mara National Reserve to the World Heritage List, or giving them the status of a buffer zone, would further safeguard the outstanding universal values of this property. Another major potential threat to the integrity of the park is the scarcity of surface water for the animals during dry years, as only one river, Mara, flows perennially through the park. An extension of the park boundary to reach Lake Victoria, providing a corridor for animals to access water in times of drought, is planned for the future to address this issue. The site has a well-designated and partially demarcated boundary, and since 2009 funds have been allocated to demarcate the entire boundary. Its management is regulated by both international and government policies and legal obligations. The National Parks Ordinance Cap 412 of 1959 provides for Tanzania national parks with the mandate to manage the site. In addition, the 1974 Tanzanian Wildlife Conservation Act and the 2009 Wildlife Conservation Act provide for both within the site and adjacent area protection of resources, respectively. A General Management Plan, 2006 to 2016, has been formulated to guide the daily management of the site in a sustainable manner and is currently being implemented. The plan provides guidance on how to execute the various activities within the park under four main themes: ecosystem management, outreach services, tourism management, and park operations. The site has a reasonable level of human and financial resources for effective management, but as the activities expand and more challenges emerge, the lack of sufficient resources remains a potential future constraint. The major management concerns include poaching, tourism pressure, wildfires, and lack of adequate capacity in resource monitoring. Another important management challenge is water. Despite numerous sources of water during the rainy season, there is only one perennial river, Mara, which is transnational. However, this river currently faces multiple human-mediated cross-boundary threats.